Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 9th Lebanon City Council meeting. Our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, on to the roll call members. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Sure. Mike Kincaid.
Excused.
Keith Campbell.
Here.
Morris Jones.
Here.
Dick Robertson.
Here.
John Copeland.
Here.
Brent Wheat.
Present.
Sierra Messenger.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, on to the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. Are there any changes or edits to those minutes? Okay, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are approved. All right, on to old business. I don't have anything on my agenda. Is there anything from council? Okay. Then new business. First item up is Ordinance 2021-16, City of Lebanon Contract Amendment with the Indiana Municipal Power Agency, or IMPA. Tonight we have Brian Brackmeyer here with us tonight, just to give us a quick 2-minute refresher. He was here about a month ago, just talking about the long-term plans of IMPA, and then this ordinance is in relation to that. So hand it over to Brian.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. As the mayor said, my name is Brian Brackmeyer with the Indiana Municipal Power Agency. Had the good fortune to present in front of all of you at your June 28th meeting. I do have some reading materials in case you would like anything to dissect that later, but just a quick little recap of what we discussed at that meeting was really more what's going on at IMPA. Currently, we are planning for the future. What our generation portfolio looks like. If you kind of follow the news, you'll see that there has been more of a push towards moving away from coal-based resources, any carbon-based resource. So we are looking to see what the future entails for IMPA. Big part of that is, as we're in the planning process, is the cost. As a not-for-profit, we care about keeping our costs low for our members. And in order to do so, as we're pursuing what kind of resources we need, we also need to pursue what the financing is, and that includes to be able to issue bonds for these new investments, which we're projecting, potentially a couple $2 billion or so. Through that, the longer that we're able to push out our bonds, the lower we're going to be able to keep our rate, which does keep our rates low for our members and the citizens of Lebanon. We've been really working with our members for the past couple of years now for these extensions. Our current power supply agreement with the City of Lebanon expires in 2042. We're asking for an 8-year extension to 2050. Previous contract, or current contract, has a 10-year termination notice. We're looking to change that to a 30-year termination notice because, again, we're going to have a variety of new resources come online, so that will effectively give us those long-term terms so we can go ahead and bond those investments out for the future. Of our 61 members, so far 50 have approved the extension. We still have a few more that are scheduled for this month to consider as well, and then we'll continue through hopefully all the rest of the 61.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Any questions for Brian from the council? Okay. I'll turn it over to Rob to read Ordinance 2021-16 on first reading.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Ordinance 2021-16 is an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of the third amendment to the power sales contract between Indiana Municipal Power Agency and the city. As this council knows, the city is a municipality that owns an electric utility known as Lebanon Utilities. The utility is operated by the Lebanon Utility Service Board, and the city is required by law to provide its customers with adequate and reliable and economic supply of electric power and energy, but is determined that it is not in a financial position of providing the planning, financing, locating the building of new facilities for generations, and therefore it determined that it was in the best interest to join with other municipalities as a member of the Indiana Municipal Power Agency some time ago. The power sales contract is set forth in this ordinance. It provides that IMPA is agreeing to sell and deliver to the city, and the city's agreeing to purchase and receive from IMPA all electric power and energy which the city is required for operating its utility. And again, as Brian indicated, it right now expires on April 1 of 2042. IMPA is trying to plan and supply a 30-year timeline, and the power supply resources can take 5 to 10 years or more for development and construction, and sometimes even longer than that. So IMPA has suggested that, as Brian indicated, that it resolve or amend the power sales contract as set forth in Exhibit A. And therefore, on April 14th of this year, the Utility Board reviewed the amendment and recommended to this council under Resolution 2021-01 that it take appropriate action to adopt and implement the amendment. So therefore, this council would find that the amendment, which is attached as Exhibit A, would be approved. The entry of the city into the power sales contract and its performance of the terms and conditions are hereby ratified and confirmed, and the city is authorized pursuant to this ordinance to enter into the amendment in substantially the form as Exhibit A, and it will be bound by the terms and conditions of the power sales contract as supplemented by the amendment. The mayor is authorized and directed to execute and deliver, and the clerk treasurer is authorized to attest and seal the amendment.
Okay. Any questions for Rob on the reading of the ordinance? Any council discussion? Okay. Any public comment on the ordinance? Okay, seeing none, we'll have that ordinance up then for second reading at our next meeting, which will be August 23rd. Okay. All right, next item, we have a food and beverage request. John, turn it over to you.
We had a food and beverage meeting on August 4th with members, myself, Councilwoman Messenger, and Councilman Robertson. We met with Carmen Ottinger, who was here this evening to make a request for the event of Back to the 50s.
Good evening, Council. As many of you most know, I'm Carmen Ottinger. I'm chairman of the Back to the 50s Festival. This is our 27th annual event, and I met the other evening with the committee. We are requesting the complete amount of $1,500 for our festival this year. Last year with COVID shut us down. That meant no income coming in. However, sponsors and some booth and car show and other events who had already made their deposit for events or sponsorship, some decided to let us keep that and roll it over to this year, which helped us get a little start on this year for expenses. Some requested their monies be refunded. So we did have enough to get started this year, but what we'd already paid out last year for printing and some advertising was not reimbursable by any funds that were available through the state. There was some funding available, but it didn't fall under some of that was available to us. So that was not recoverable. But we are going full swing for this year. And most of our bands and everything rebooked and are ready to go. And our booths are filling up slowly. But we do have most everybody back this year. We're on the fairgrounds again. The dog show's there, the antique bottle show, the fairgrounds will be full again. We've added a new event, and it did get confirmed today. I told you the other night that it might, and it's the Indy large-scale railroad. Those are miniature railroad displays. These are the G scales. And they're coming in to set up, so you can come out and, if you're a railroad enthusiast. For those out there listening, we're looking for sponsors to sponsor them. It takes some money for them to bring in their setup and set that up, so they will be in the RMC Hall. If you've not seen the RC, that's the remote control cars that are there. They come every year, the truckers, and another group is Demolition Derby RC remote control. So they're back again every year, and we love to have them. And we always look for sponsorship for them. We did have several large sponsors pull out this year, so our money is short, to say the least. Unhappy with some of our large sponsors. It scares me, but maybe they'll be back next year, so we hope. We'll shortly have on the website a full schedule of events and times. I have with me some of that information. This year we do have a concert on Saturday night from 6 to 9 with the Flying Toasters on the North Track. That is free. That is alcohol free. It's not allowed on the grounds. Please leave it at home. Don't bring it. We'll ask you to leave it in the car, or we'll check it in and tag your cooler. You can get it afterwards. We will have golf cart transportation. We can take you from your car and bring you down to the center circle, and we do have that fully sponsored. Everything else is pretty much standard. We've got a costume parade on Friday evening if you want to dress in 50s, and again on Saturday. So if you decide you want to dress up, why come do that? We do have some poodle skirts and things like that for sale at the information booth. As you know, I'm a seamstress, so I have made some poodle skirts and blouses for the ladies. I don't have anything for the gents, I'm sorry. That was an area where you can wear jeans and a white shirt or your t-shirt. So that you can drag out of the closet or figure out how to put that together. If you have any questions that I can help you with, it's just that as all of us all of our friends that are working with festivals, we're just short on funds. Last year, we just didn't have any income, so we're all short of it. I've talked with other festivals. We're all in the same boat. We're just short of funds.
Yep.
Carmen met with the council again, or the members of the Food and Beverage Committee on August 4th. The dates of the event that she's speaking of is Friday, September 17th, goes from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., and then on Saturday, September 18th, it goes from 9 a.m. to 4:30, and like she said, there'll be a concert from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. with the Flying Toasters. It is an alcohol-free function or event. It is open to the public. I think we spoke, they're looking at attendance of approximately 4,000 people for the event.
Should be over the full weekend.
And again, she's going from not what happened last year, but from the past. Like I said, last year was just kind of a thing that affected all of our events around the county and around the city when it came to things like this. So that's where we're at.
We do have I didn't say that, of course, we're looking for a large car show. From what we're hearing with other car shows, the guys have had their cars parked for a year, so they're coming out of the woodwork and bringing their cars, so we're looking for a large car show. We've got a RV camping group that comes every year just because we're the 50s Festival. So they come in about Tuesday and leave on Saturday or Sunday. So while they're there, they do partake of the restaurants, shopping. So they're going to be here, and now we have the 2 new restaurants downtown. I'm sure they're going to be finding them pretty quick. There's at least 40 RVs in that group coming. They're already reserved at the fairgrounds. So they found us for the 50s and 60s music. So they're coming and they'll be there all weekend, besides the dog show that's there all week. And I usually advertise that as 700 dogs and their owners. So, and if you've never been to a dog show, a live dog show, you have the opportunity to come into the Witham Pavilion. They have at least 2 to 3 rings with various types of dogs, and they come and go all week long. So if you've not been to a live dog show, they do, used to be just, they had their own people. Now that they have visitors from outside in, they're a little prouder with their dogs, and so you can watch the dog shows on the national dog shows on TV, but this is a live, and there's all types of dogs from the teacup dogs to the big Great Danes, and also if you've not seen a dog show. And we work with the other 2 shows. We kind of invaded the dog show coming from downtown because they were there first. But we rent golf carts together. I rent them, bring them in. They take a couple, and we work together. We work with security together. So we have worked together with food vendors and security golf carts. And like I said, I'll rent all the golf carts. They come in all together. They take the ones they need. They reimburse us because I pay for all of it. And then they reimburse us for the ones that they use. We usually get Boone County Security, Sheriff's Department for the weekend. So we all work together. So it makes a nice event in the fairgrounds is full. Jack Jones is usually pulling out his hair, trying to find electric for all of us and getting the facilities we need for all of us that are there. But we have all come to work together very well.
You did present the committee a flyer, what I'm assuming will be on your,
It's going to be on the website. I've got to add the railroad group to it. I just talked to my gal today. I said, I need you to add that so then I can put that onto the website, and then they are going to post that on their website also.
I might have another suggestion for you after the meeting tonight, what to add to there as well.
And we make copies and put them at a couple, 3 places in town,
Okay.
so.
Okay. Any questions for Carmen? Any discussion or motion from council?
I would like to make a motion that from the Food and Beverage Committee, we provide $1,500 to the organization for their event for September 17th and 18th, 2021.
Okay, we have a motion to provide a $1,500 grant from the Food and Beverage Fund to the Back to the 50s organization. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, look forward to your event.
We
Thank
thank
very
you.
much.
Any of you'd like to volunteer, I can definitely put you to work that weekend for an hour or two, or the entire weekend. There you go. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carmen. Okay, next up, Resolution 2021-12, council to consider awarding a build, operate, transfer project, the Lebanon Shell Building, to Runabaum and GM Development. This is Ben's.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. Just wanted to give you a quick update on this project. We've been working on it since about March. And then before you tonight then is 2 items. One is a public hearing that's required by state statute for build, operate, transfer projects, and then also a resolution essentially awarding the project to our recommended team of Runabaum and GM Development. And then instructing, that resolution will also instruct the Redevelopment Commission to move forward with negotiating on the build, operate, transfer agreement and improving the financing. So first, I just want to take just a few minutes just to walk you through where we've been to this point. And then Chris King is here from Runabaum just to fill you in a little bit on the site design and elevations in the building and where we're at this point in terms of construction costs and construction timeline moving forward. First and foremost, in February of this year, the council adopted a resolution approving the build, operate, transfer code from the Indiana statute. That's one of the first things you have to do before you can use that process. So we did that in February. March 17, or I guess actually in late February, early March, we did distribute an RFP for the project, and responses were due March 17th, and we did get 3 responses, which I forwarded to you last Friday, or excuse me, on Monday. I did last Monday. We got responses from Garmon Construction, BW Development, and Runabaum Construction. And per Indiana Code, we did set up a committee then to review those 3 proposals, and the committee was made up of Mayor Gentry, myself, Kevin Krulik, Sierra Messenger, and Molly Whitehead from the EDC. And we then did distribute all 3 of those proposals to that group, and we met April 20th to review those and determine a recommendation to provide back both to the RDC and council. At that meeting, members voted unanimously to recommend a Runabaum for the project for a number of different reasons. One, they have extensive shell building experience. They've done projects all around the state related to shell buildings and also build, operate, transfer. GM Development, their partner, has financed a number of different projects using the build, operate, transfer financing method, so they're very familiar with that process. We were most favorable in terms of the site plan that they proposed. They were both very responsive to our needs and also provided, we thought, like the most flexible development plan for that site. And then also, last but not least, and probably most importantly, their estimated construction costs. They were the low bid in terms of the three we received. And just to kind of do an apples-to-apples comparison, I did a per square foot cost. Runabaum was about $80 per square foot on their proposal. The other 2 teams were between $100 and $110 per square foot, so they were by far the lowest bidder. And so as a result of those items, the committee then did recommend Runabaum for the project. That was presented to the RDC at their May 10th meeting, and at that meeting, the RDC then did vote to move forward and do further exploration with Runabaum, finalize construction costs, and again, get bank terms for future consideration. At July 12th RDC meeting, we did update them on construction costs and then presented, GM Development presented bank terms to the RDC. I did provide that also to you, a quick comparison of the banks. And The terms for each of the loans are all the same. The only differences are the interest rate and the bank's fees. So you'll see if you look, we kind of range from 3 to 4% on the interest rates, and the bank fees range from about $6,300 up to about $21,000. So at that RDC meeting in July then, the RDC voted to move forward with full approvals and full underwriting with both Horizon Bank and Tri-County Bank, which had the most favorable fees and interest rates. I did get a quick update from Greg from GM Development since then, because he has had a conversation with Baker Tilly, our financial advisor, and Baker Tilly indicated that the preference would be to annually appropriate TIF revenue to the bank payments as opposed to pledging money. There's a little bit of nuance there. If you pledge money, it starts the clock on certain TIF revenues. So by just doing annual appropriations, it doesn't start the clock on those. We just essentially appropriate annually the amount that's necessary. By doing so, it's likely that Tri-County, the smallest bank, may drop out because they prefer for the money to be pledged. So he is also going to have First Farmers and State Bank pursue credit approval, just so we have at least a couple, 3 different banks to compare their full financial terms at the next RDC meeting. So that's where we stand right now, and then tonight would be the required public hearing that's part of the process, and also the resolution. And quickly, what the resolution essentially does, the council's, because this is a project that's going to be funded by the RDC, the council's role here is to formally award the project. And then essentially the RDC then will take the role then to approve the financing and the build, operate, transfer agreement. So that's what's before you tonight, is that public hearing to allow for public comments, and then the resolution then would award the project to Runabaum, who was recommended by both the committee and the redevelopment commission, and essentially ask the redevelopment commission or instruct the redevelopment commission to negotiate and approve a build, operate, transfer agreement with Runabaum and approve financing. So Chris is here just if you want a quick update on where we stand in terms of the site design, if you have that up here for him, and building design, and just some quick updates on construction.
Thank you. My name is Chris King. I'm with Runabaum Construction, one of the owners of Runabaum Construction. And just on behalf of Runabaum and GM, we really sincerely appreciate the opportunity to be part of this project. How do I get this?
Yep.
Okay. We've provided a site plan that shows the potential building. It's a 50,000 square foot building. This is a very typical shell building project, as we've done in the past. We've done 10 of these previously in various formats, including the last 5 in a build, operate, transfer format. And it's been very successful. We feel very encouraged. We feel like this project will move very quickly. We think there's a lot of opportunity from an economic development perspective with this particular site. So we're very excited to get it going. And then we're also, we've got an elevation of the building that we've been working on and just tweaking and working through, getting everything finalized with that. So we've provided this as well as, what we anticipate the building will look like. Right now, from a construction schedule perspective, it's a challenging market, and so there's a lot of delays with materials and how lead times for wind, steel, and those types of things will be delivered. Going into the winter right now does look like a good thing for us, because we can go ahead and get orders placed, and then, come spring, we should be coming out of the ground with steel going up, and I think from a timing perspective, it could work really well. So, we would anticipate being under construction, potentially some through the winter, getting foundations in place, and then once the building arrives, being able to erect steel, and that, next summer, this time for sure, we'd be complete with a complete shell. And, throughout that process, we are working to market that and get it in front of, leads that come from the state through economic development, and then also making personal contacts too with businesses that might have an interest. So there's been several occasions where we've been able to actually sell a building prior to construction being complete on it. That's always our goal with this too. Happy to answer any questions. I know I covered a lot real quick. But.
Yeah, just one second. I just want to kind of fill in the council for, just kind of bring it back to why we're talking about tonight. Again, this is something that the city's been, when we deal with economic development, This is a huge missing gap for us right now. A lot of companies, I think more than 50% of our leads we get in through the EDC, the Boone County EDC, are asking for an existing building less than 100,000 square feet, right? Which we have absolutely zero of in Boone County right now. So, half the leads that could be jobs created in Lebanon aren't even getting submitted because we don't have a building. So this is just a process. Again, we don't think this project will sit long. This is a process to kind of get the ball rolling a little bit, kind of get it planned, get it going. And then it's, because I mentioned it's a shell building, right? So there's no floor in it. There's no built-out office space. It really is a shell of a building. That way they can be customized for manufacturers. They need a different thickness of a floor, things like that. So it's really a speed to business type discussion here and why we're kind of trying to meet this market. And I think hopefully by doing this, and this goes well, hopefully, then obviously that can be replicated to help us attract these, advanced manufacturing type jobs that pay higher, versus a typical kind of logistics job. So it's kind of us doing a new thing for sure, and I get that. But that's kind of why the city is kind of getting into this, because we feel like this meets an unmet need currently in our market. So at this time, any questions for Ben or Chris on this?
Maybe just to build on it a little bit, because one of the questions you may be asking is if this is a need, why can we not convince the private construction or development community just to build it on a speculative basis? And kind of the challenges on these smaller buildings is the cost per square foot goes up. So obviously there's a value element of, the larger the building, the less your cost per square foot is, so the lower your risk is. So ironically convincing somebody to build a 500,000 or 1 million square foot building is a lot easier than convincing somebody to build 50,000 square feet, because their costs, to get bank financing and all those other soft costs are the same whether the building's that size or whether it's 1 million square feet. So they're always going to choose to build those larger buildings because they're much lower cost, and it's easier for them to figure out how to sell the building or lease the building and make the numbers work. So there's kind of this whole, this isn't unique to Lebanon, this is every community. Getting a building this size to be constructed just with purely a private development community is really challenging to do. So we're in essence stepping in and taking some of the risk off the developer to construct this building. And the benefit to us is that we have ultimate control over who goes into that building. So whereas a purely speculative building, where a distribution company comes in, it's a permitted use, they can go in there. We actually have the ability to say, if we get inquiries on a distribution user that's paying $14 an hour, we can decline and wait for the right type of user, some sort of advanced manufacturer with the right wages. As the mayor said, we have the ability to use it as an incentive if we prefer to reduce the sale price of the building to get the right user in there. We can do that. The loan is actually not a mortgage, so it's not like you have to pay it off before you sell it. So there's some flexibility with using the build, operate, transfer process for us and be able to dictate what happens with that building, sell it, lease it, or how that works. So there are a lot of benefits there in terms of doing it this method, and this allows us to kind of step in the gap and help the builder get this done.
Okay. Any questions from council this time?
Where exactly is this going to be built?
It is kind of. So this is State Road 32, west from I-65.
That's the KFC
This
right
is
there.
where the KFC.
I see the KFC.
The old
Okay.
KFC building right there. It's just west of that. You can kind of see on the map that, everything in blue is the floodplain, so we're having to do a little work around floodplain there to make this site work. But we have the current property owner is willing to work with us and partner on this to make this project work, and they're excited about it too.
It's the, if you drive west on 32, it's that section of cornfield that has a curb cut off of 32 for some reason.
Yeah,
That's where it
there's
is.
a drive that goes back there to nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ben? Okay. Rob, do you mind reading the ordinance for me? Or, excuse me, resolution?
Thank you, Mayor. Council Resolution 2021-12 is a resolution approving Runabout Construction Company and GM Development Companies, LLC, for a BOT agreement. As Ben indicated, on February 22nd of this year, this council adopted Resolution 2021-04, the BOT resolution, adopting certain provisions of the act and authorizing the mayor to issue requests for proposals and qualifications. Pursuant to the BOT resolution, the mayor issued that RFPQ, which sought offers to perform or cause to be performed the design, site development, construction, and maintenance for a shell building to be constructed on approximately 16-acre site, generally located on the north side of State Road 32. Run and Bomb Construction Company and GM Development Company submitted its proposal, and pursuant to the BOT resolution, has been indicated, the mayor established a committee to formulate an opinion regarding the proposals. Ultimately, the committee reviewed those proposals and statement of qualifications, and ultimately then determined that the developer should be recommended for awarding the BOT agreement. In accordance with Indiana Code, the city has published notice of its intent to hold a public hearing after I finish reading this, and this council, operating as the board is defined, has conducted a duly noticed public hearing. Therefore, this council now desires to award the BOT agreement to the developer and authorize and instruct the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission to negotiate, approve, and enter into the BOT agreement and any ancillary project agreements that would be associated with that. The council supports the project and again authorizes the RDC to take all necessary steps to approve the project and the transaction documents acceptable to the RDC upon the advice of the mayor, the committee, and the city attorney, with such approval to be evidenced by the RDC's execution and delivery of such transaction documents. And then the mayor is also authorized to take any and all actions that are necessary to carry out the matters set forth in this resolution.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Any questions from council now the resolution's been read? Okay, at this time then I'll open the public hearing on Resolution 2021-12. If you have any public comments, please step forward and just state your name for the record. Sudden movements. Okay, I'll close the public hearing on Resolution 2021-12. Any further discussion from council? Okay, at this time then, I would entertain a motion concerning Resolution 2021-12.
Make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2021-12, the Lebanon Shell Building.
We have a motion to adopt. Is there a second? Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, Resolution 2021-12 has been adopted. Thank you, council. Okay, that concludes what I have on my agenda for new business. Is there anything from council? Okay, any public comment? Any council discussion? Would entertain a motion then concerning the claims.
Move we approve the claims.
The motion to approve the claims. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I do have one thing. I'd like to offer congratulations to Lebanon High School. The marching band finished 6th at the Indiana State Fair this last week. We have friends and neighbors that their children are participating in that, and the time and effort that they spent their summer doing this, it's a great accomplishment. So I'd like to wish them the very best on finishing in the top 6 in the state of Indiana.
Thank you, John. Any other announcements? Okay, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Our next city council meeting will be August 23rd at 7:15 p.m. Have a great evening.